Welcome back to another episode of the Fat Gay Texan. This is Jake, your host. This is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything, and we don't throw political correctness out the window because what? We never even let it in the house to begin with. So today we're going to hit on two different topics that aren't really related to one another, but we're going to say that they are. The first one we're going to talk about is the reluctance of today's youth to embrace independence. And this is, in my opinion, such a big problem. You see it all the time. It's not every youth out there, but people from the age of 15 to 23, 24, they just don't have the same gumption that they used to get their butts out of the house and get a job, move on, right? You raise these kids for that purpose. You want them out of the house at some point. And I remember as a kid, as soon as I put two and two together, that a vehicle in me would one day meet and I could drive it and I could go somewhere and be independent, I craved it. I really, really wanted it. But now that's just not the case anymore. You don't see that with kids. Yeah, so there's just this lack of, I wanted a job because I wanted the vehicle. And of course, to have a vehicle, I had to have a job. But then having a job meant I had my own money. So it was really exciting stuff. But they're just not hitting those milestones anymore. Things like getting a driver's license, moving out, getting a job, all these things, this younger generation, I'm not saying it's all of them, but there's just much more than there used to be of young people that just don't want to get out and do something. Now, there are a couple of factors here that may lead to this. One of them is economic factors. Financial burdens of higher education and cost of living. Have you seen the prices that it costs to go to college and the student loans these people are taking out? First off, don't take out student loans. See Dave Ramsey. If you don't like Dave Ramsey, I don't care. He's right about student loans. Get over it. Then there's just the astronomical rise in the cost of living. It's beating the inflationary standpoints, certainly beating how much your check inflates. It costs a lot to live nowadays. The apartment I live in 7 years ago would have been probably about $700 less a month than what it is now, if not even cheaper. So yes, it does cost a lot to get to live on your own, a lot more than it used to. However, that does not mean that you can't find a way to be independent. You can get roommates. There's a lot of other things you can come up with to get out of your parents' house. I don't understand why people don't want to do it. Salaries are insufficient starting out in a lot of places. Now, you know how I feel about the minimum wage. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about you go to college, you go get a useless degree because you've probably, majored in, finger painting for, you know what I mean? They have all these stupid degrees. So you went to college, you spent $100,000, you got your finger painting degree, and now you're trying to get a job. I once knew someone who was a college attendee addict. She had, her associates wasn't enough, her bachelor's wasn't enough, her master's wasn't. She went ahead and went all the way through and got her doctorates. Meanwhile, she continued to work at a minimum wage job, not actually working towards what she thought her degree should go to or what her degree would get her in the door at. So she had all these minimum wage jobs. And then when she finally got her doctorate's degree and she went to apply for a job, they said, well, yeah, we'll hire you for this, but you're going to start out at the bottom because you have no relative experience. And so these kids are going to school, they're not really working, and then I've got this degree and everything's going to be great. No. At my job, I'm responsible for hiring people and reviewing resumes and things like that. I don't care. I don't work at a doctor's office. I'm not hiring a doctor. I'm not hiring, no, I don't care about your paper. The first thing I look at is relative experience, and then how long you've been at those places. Longevity is key, your tenure. So, but these kids are coming out of college, so that's part of this financial thing they're having. But that stems back to you didn't work your way through college. You didn't have a job. You stayed with mommy and daddy, and now all of a sudden you get out there in the real world and you realize that, you know, the fact that I cleaned my bedroom today does not count as relative job experience. So there are some other factors, those being cultural and psychological factors. There are shifting societal narratives around adulthood and independence. That is true. We tend to baby our youth and shelter our youth way more than we used to. I remember when I was a kid, 12 years old. All right, well, son, you're the man of the house while we're gone. They gave you responsibilities. You know, now it's 12 years old. Be careful. We got a babysitter for you. Now, yes, the world's changed some, but you know what I mean. There are certain things where we just baby these kids. There's this extended adolescence we keep them through, and it's just really, really annoying, and it harms your kids. If you're not giving your children responsibilities and some sense of independence and some priorities and some goals to reach for, you are harming your children way more. That damage cannot be, it takes years to undo. It takes years to undo. But society has become more acceptable to staying at home longer and, well, they're still young. You know, hell, you're 26, you're not young anymore. You should be out there doing something with your life, not staying at home, not just finishing college. You're not going to be a doctor. People stay in college for years and years and years now, come out with nothing. And their parents, well, my son's in college, so, you know, he can live with me. No, he's not doing anything useful with his time. He's just staying in college so he doesn't have to work. There's a comfort in security to staying at home. And we live in a society now where comfort is paramount. That makes me uncomfortable. So they don't do it. This whole, you know, face your fears mentality, that doesn't exist anymore with most people. No, I'm uncomfortable. Oh, no. Get out there. Yes, life is uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable many times a day. You know, for my entire life, something pops up and I'm like, oh, but you know what? You get through it, you make it. And then when that situation comes again, you know how to tackle it and you feel better. Like, man, I accomplished something. It's not quite the same Zen feeling you have when you get your laundry folded as an adult, but you know what I mean. So these things matter and these are affecting it. These are affecting why kids are staying at home much longer. There's also the impact of the digital age. Socializing isn't what it used to be. So when I was growing up, I really, really, as I said earlier, wanted a car. I had a car as soon as I was legally able to drive one. Not only did it give me independence to go to work and school, I could also go hang out with my friends. But now, you don't have to leave your house to have a good time. That's a great segue to say thank you for listening to this podcast while you're sitting in your house or your car. But you don't have to. So once again, there's not a drive. The drive to get out of the house is less than it used to be because the need to get out of the house is less than it used to be. I mean, I get my groceries delivered. I don't go out of the house to go grocery shopping. Thank God. But, you know, there's all these things now that didn't exist back then. But now we have them. There are some consequences to all this. These young people that are being sheltered, being allowed to stay at home, who have parents that actually don't care about them. Not in, you know, they may love them, but they don't care about their future. Although they may think they do. There are consequences to this by babying your children and sheltering your children. They're missing out on important independent and personal development growth steps in their life. The milestones that my generation and the generations before had seem to not exist anymore. They risk missing out. The risk of missing out on these things hurts them because they fail to turn into mature adults. They may not fail completely, but it takes a lot longer. We should always find ways to encourage and support our youth and edge them towards being independent, productive, good citizens. That's how this country and every other country in the world survives. If you have a lazy youth, you're going to have a horrible future. Now we're going to switch gears briefly. And, well, not briefly, talking about lazy and stupid things. This has almost become tradition on this podcast where I talk about one serious topic and then I just talk about a topic that really pisses me off. And one thing that pisses me off, I don't know why, none of these things have reasons why they piss me off, other than I just think they're stupid. One thing that pisses me off that I think is so stupid is this fur baby phenomenon. You know what I'm talking about. Adult people, maybe point one has more to do with point two than I thought. Adult people who sit there and consider their pets not just to be family, but to be their legitimate children. This is my fur baby. Isn't that annoying? Isn't they don't distinguish between animals and humans. They actually think that this is their child and they treat it as such. They dress their pets in designer clothing. They share their pets' adventures on social media. God forbid they go to doggy daycare. They take their pets to the stores with them. You know, everything you would do with a baby. And then pet birthday parties. I was watching Mad TV, reruns of Mad TV on YouTube the other day, and there was this advertisement, this parody advertisement for the Hallmark store. And this lady's reading this card, and it's actually a card for your dog, and they make those. And this is satire from 2003, right? So she's reading this thing, and then the announcer comes on. Hallmark, if you're buying a card for your dog, you might as well go ahead and just slit your wrist right now. Now, that's comedy we don't use nowadays because it would offend somebody, but get your dog, you're throwing your dog a birthday party? How ridiculous. You are seeking so much attention. Obviously, you're getting it from me because I'm talking about it on this podcast episode, but you're seeking so much attention because you don't have something in your life that's really, really meaningful. People, they go, oh, well, I can't. Yeah, I have something with my dog tonight. Or, what? And then I'll go back to a previous point. Stop taking your dogs to the freaking store. You can't go into a Home Depot anymore or almost any major store without some idiot bringing, and we're not talking about service animals. No, we're talking about regular plain dogs that are, and when people treat their dogs like this, they don't train them. Just like we don't train kids nowadays, because that's considered derogatory. But they take these dogs into the stores, and we have to deal with them. It's annoying. I have 2 dogs. I love my dogs. You know how I treat my dogs? I treat them like dogs. Yes. Do they sleep in the bed? Yes. Do they get on the couch? Absolutely. If I'm going to go visit my family and friends, do I bring them with me? No, they stay at home. They're a dog. So the reason I have dogs. So when I am not at home, there is something at home that may ward off potential intruders. My dogs would prefer to stay at home. That's where they're most comfortable. Home Depot aggravates me more than any other place people take their pets, because just the noise and the sounds and the smells of Home Depot and the dangers. If you really love that dog, I don't care, America, get pissed at me. If you're one of the people who take your dog to Home Depot, shame on you. You don't love your dog. You're doing it for attention. No creature with the mental capacity of a 3-year-old that is hypersensitive to smell and sound wants to be at a Home Depot. It's annoying for us adults. It can sometimes be disturbing for us humans that understand what that forklift is doing, that understands that smell is polyurethane. We know these things. Now, once again, we're not talking about service animals, dogs trained for these situations, dogs trained to do a purpose. No, we're talking about people taking advantage of what I consider very lax corporate and local policies to take their pets everywhere, so they can get attention. Oh, what a cute dog. Oh, he peed on the floor in coals. Who cares? Stop it. Leave your dog at home. Your dog will be happier. You will be happier. And honestly, once again, hate me, America. It's a form of freaking animal abuse taking your dogs all these crazy places. It is a form of abuse. That is not what they are meant for. That is not what their brains can't comprehend these things. It makes them nervous. It makes other people around them nervous because it's never people who take their dogs to these places that have well-behaved dogs. No, they're either comatose in a stroller somewhere or in a buggy or whatever, or they're hyperactive, large dogs. Some people have complete fear of dogs. I know you dog lovers out there don't understand that. I have dogs. I love them. But I understand that not everyone likes dogs, so I don't try to force my dog on the public. It is wrong, it is inhumane, and it is abusive to your pet and to the public to force it all over. It is a personal choice. You want a dog, you keep it at home. Your dogs can go to the park. If you go camping, your dogs can go with you. I take my dog if I go to vacation. I take her to a hotel room that allows pets because I don't believe in kenneling dogs. I don't believe in doggy daycare. I don't believe in stressing my dog out that much. But there are times and places for that, and a store is not one of those places. You have to understand what a pet needs. Dogs need companionship. They are pack animals, which means they like to stay with their pack, with the people. They don't like to be alone. But they do prefer to be at home alone versus at Home Depot. Dogs need some belly rubs. They need games of fetch. They need to be fed. You need to take them to the park every once in a while. You need to interact with them. These are all things you're doing for them, not for you. I just can't go anywhere without my dog. Then you need to be in an insane asylum. Honestly. If you cannot go somewhere without your pet, and it is not a trained service animal, you need real help. Sorry if you hate that. It's the truth. It also diminishes what real service animals do. People who need real service animals have a specific need. Maybe they have PTSD, maybe they are blind, maybe they are deaf, maybe they have seizures, maybe they have cancer, maybe there is something wrong that this dog is specifically trained to handle. The dogs know how to act in public. These are very trained dogs. They are loyal to their master. These dogs are fine. But this influx of dogs diminishes, in my opinion. When I was a kid, if you saw a dog in a store, that was a dog. It was a service animal. It was a real trained, proper thing. You knew why it was there. You knew it wasn't going to bother you. Nowadays, you don't know. Because Dum Dum over here decided to take their dog, who's hyperactive and loves everybody, to the store and then they always put them, here's another point, America, they always put them on a freaking retractable leash, don't they? Don't they? In Home Depot, leash 15 feet out. Oh, it's okay, he's friendly. Rolled that freaking thing back in. And I'm never mad at the dog, I'm mad at the people. I shouldn't have to put up with it. You now brought your problem to the store, and now it's my problem. Anyway, I'll get off that rant, I guess, but it's a problem in America. It's attention-seeking issues. Look what I can do. Grow up. They are not children. They are not substitutes of children. I appreciate pet owners who are excited about their pets for what they are. Pets. Pets are not people. I can't remember the last time I went into an apartment complex and I had to pay $15 extra a month people rent. No. It's, of course, you pay your deposit, but you get my point. There's a difference. There are people, there are animals. We are not one and the same. We are two different species that, when combined properly, are mutually beneficial to one another, and they can enrich our lives and we can enrich theirs. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had pets my entire life. I love them. I sleep with my dog every night. In fact, I don't go to sleep without her. I make sure she's in the bed. There's a comfort level there. I don't know if it's hers or mine, because she always lays on my back and makes me hot, and I'm like, get the hell off of me. But my pet's at home. At home, this is my comfort. Home is my comfort, and my pet is part of my home, and that increases my comfort. If I'm lying in bed with my dog and someone breaks into this house, I will be alerted about it. I like her companionship. When I go out and I'm traveling alone, I don't take her into a store, but if I'm traveling and I'm by myself, I'll be gone for, it's a several-hour trip. I take my dog with me. She is a companion and a friend that way. She is not my plus one at Kohl's. Never has been, never will be. Just not right. Well, I hope you got something out of this podcast. If you didn't, oh well, you listened to it anyway, and I appreciate that. I don't know what our next topic will be. I never do. It just seems to be what hits me or what's hot in the media right now, and then something that always makes me angry. But thank you for tuning in. We're on multiple different platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on Podbean. We are on Spotify. Can you believe that? There's several platforms. Look in the description. I don't remember them all. This is still a fairly new podcast. But we are on several different things. Samsung. We stream on Samsung podcasts now. So whatever platform you're listening on, if you'd be so kind, whatever their options are, like, comment, subscribe, it helps a lot. My goal is just to be real with people. That is why I started this. I get so frustrated at the world nowadays that we cannot just have open and honest conversation. I'm not saying anything that you probably don't think in your head already, but we're just too afraid to say it. And it's time we learn how to have real conversations and sit people down when they need to be set down and talk to them. That's why I started this. So once again, thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you got something out of it. And until next time, have a great time, America.